September is National Emergency Preparedness Month, and in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, we see the importance of preparing. Commander, Navy Installation Command's Ready Navy program educates sailors and their families on how to prepare. The program will help the Navy family meet today's challenges head-on and plan for when an emergency occurs. This year's overall theme is Disasters Don't Plan Ahead, You Can. Each week in September will have a specific theme to help you make a plan, practice your plan, and implement it. You will also find ideas to help your neighbors and community. Explore the links on the Ready Navy site, learn the steps to make an emergency plan, and build a kit to support basic needs for a minimum of 3 days. Commit to emergency planning and encourage your shipmates and families to emergency plan at home as well as at work. Read and follow the tips, put a plan in place, and be prepared.
Get out. They're stopped as well. Whoa.
Hurricane Irma's tearing through the Caribbean as a...
September is National Preparedness Month, a month dedicated to educating and empowering not only the base, but the community on preparing for any disaster. It is important for everyone to know what to do before, during, and after a disaster. The recent events in Texas really brings this into focus. The 78th Air Base Wing Emergency Management Flight will be hosting various events at different locations throughout the month of September. During these events, you will be able to receive vital information on how your family can better prepare themselves for any and all disasters. These events, along with everyday preparations, allowed you to proudly say you are ready. For Robins Air Force Base, I'm Paul Wenzel.
Good day, everyone. I am your local newscat, and today we bring you a special Dog on the Street report. We go live now to our local scoop dog.
Roof. Hello, newscat. We're here at Goodfellow Air Force Base. Airmen, what is Preparedness Month, and what does it mean to them?
Hi, Mom. I'm a newscat.
Airmen, National Preparedness Month.
National Preparedness Month is really just important to the base because we focus more on national disasters.
What does being prepared mean to you?
Me as an individual has to make sure that my mind, body, and soul is pretty much ready for anything, as well as my family. So getting both of those things taken care of is very important, even my pets.
There you have it, newscat. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Scoop Dog. That's our special report for today, folks. Make sure you are ready this Preparedness Month and always stay safe.
National Preparedness Month begins September 1st, so contact 325-654-3245 for more information on this month's activities.
Craig Radelman, C-R-A-I-G-R-A-D-E-L-M-A-N.
And what's your title?
I'm Deputy Fire Chief for City of Miami Fire Department. On this mission, I'm deploying as the task force leader. Well, we're going down to Puerto Rico ahead of Hurricane Maria to be prepared to deploy immediately after the storm comes through. Well, right now it's looking like it's going to make landfall as a Cat 3 or Cat 4, so there could be some serious damage. And we want to be in there early so that we can go ahead and do as much good as possible for the people of the island. Well, it's always kind of get you up on edge, and you're excited to go down there and you want to do good and help out, but you know there's going to be some bad destruction down there, and you don't want to see that happen to anybody.
Right.
We've been through a lot of it down here recently with Irma and some of the other storms that have come through, so it's been tough. It's been a tough year. Working with Homestead Air Force Base is great. We've had a great working relationship with them over the years. We've come down here many times and done a lot of training with them, and deploying out of here is they make it real easy for us. It's a real a good place to be.
Awesome. So you work for the city of Miami.
Correct.
But you're also working with FEMA, is that correct?
That's correct. Florida Task Force 2 is one of 28 federal task forces, and the sponsoring agency is the City of Miami Fire Department. No, we're just looking forward to getting down there and do some good for a lot of people.
See if we can jam this one this way. And jam that one lengthwise. They'll go in, I think.
Stuff that they're bouncing right now. FEMA, Miami.
I'm getting rid of the Charger and I'm just going to put a Case Idaho.
Charleston's good, man. I love me some Charleston. Hey, here, wait. Can I grab you for this?
Well, I got to tell you, to be quite honest with you, I'm overwhelmed and extremely satisfied with the support that the agency is providing FEMA and our nation for this hurricane relief effort. When I look at our fuel operation and our distribution operation, I think they have done a magnificent job of supporting the agency and the people of America who've been affected by this hurricane.
We came from supporting Hurricane Harvey in Hood, and we get the word to come here. We came here, and in less than 48 hours, we were ready. We were receiving trucks, and we were ready to dispatch trucks in support of Hurricane Irma. We are doing outstanding. We are a team that is full of commitment, dedication, and we want to provide the support at the right time, at the right place, all the time. So again, I'm very impressed, and we are not going to give up. We got this.
So for Hurricane Irma, we watched it move through the Caribbean and the Leeward Islands, and we were tasked with coming out here to provide support for the countries affected by Hurricane Irma. Now that we're here and we're postured to provide that support, we have Tropical Storm Maria that is bearing down on Puerto Rico. And we're anticipating it will become a major hurricane by the middle of next week. So our next step now is to get our aircraft to a safer place so that we can return as soon as possible to provide that same support to the countries affected by Hurricane Maria. All right, some of the capabilities that our aircraft bring include internal and external transport of supplies, and then internal transport of personnel. For hurricane relief, I think we're a very good platform to have out here because of our external supply transport capability. A lot of the areas that are going to be damaged by the hurricane may not facilitate the landing of an aircraft to provide supply or the ground transport of anything that can provide humanitarian relief supplies. We are unique in that we can carry a substantial amount of humanitarian relief supplies externally and vertically in many different conditions. So the planning process for supporting Hurricane Irma started when the hurricane was forming in the Atlantic. The predicted path for that hurricane went right through part of Southern Command's area of responsibility. And so we began to posture for coming to the East Caribbean, assuming that we would be part of a relief effort. And the stronger the hurricane got, the more confident we became that we would end up here. So we were well prepared to arrive to support Hurricane Irma.
So my role as the Joint Special Operations Air Component Commander has been to rapidly respond and provide specialized air mobility through our Special Operations Forces to support the hurricane relief with rapid mobility requirements, JTF, the Joint Task Force Commander's efforts to bring British Virgin Islands and Anguilla. And we've done that with our MC-130 platforms and our special tactics teams and our medical support teams. We've been coordinating closely with the United States Marine Corps, who has the Special Purpose MAGTF down here as the Joint Task Force Leeward Islands lead. And mostly here in San Juan, we've been coordinating closely with our amazing hosts here in the Puerto Rico Air National Guard, who have hosted us here in their operations center. It's been a fantastic relationship working with the Puerto Rico National Guard. Cannot say enough about their hospitality. So while our mission in special operations covers a wide spectrum from being able to respond and conduct missions during major combat operations all the way down to humanitarian aid efforts, the capabilities really resident across the spectrum of force can be used either way. So we have the capability to do specialized short field austere landing capabilities with our MC-130s, night or day, in poor weather. We can go into short fields and bringing in aid. We can go into uncontrolled fields. We can do our own self-contained approaches. We're able to go into a disaster area like we have here rapidly, quickly, ahead of commercial traffic, ahead of some of the other conventional forces, so we can rapidly bring in aid. We've also had our special tactics teams here who go out in small elements. They've been integrating with our special forces teams to go out and conduct assessments for helicopter landing zones, bringing air traffic control capabilities up. We did it at 3 separate airfields. They've gone out and done assessments of local infrastructure and then fed that information rapidly, real time, back to the Joint Task Force headquarters so they can then task organize and allocate our resources to best get after the mission. And all that has been in coordination with our State Department lead for this effort to make sure that we're getting the right aid, the right people to the right place at the right time. So the challenges we face are the uncertainty of the operation at the start. That's probably the first thing. We don't know what damage has really been done. We don't know what capabilities exist at the locations where we're trying to bring in aid or take out American citizens out of. And we overcame those by using the special skill sets we bring in special operations community to go in quickly, take a look at what we've got available on the ground, and then bring to bear our capabilities and then inform the task force. We had challenges with the lack of host nation air traffic control capability is one example of this. And so at each of the locations we've been supporting, there wasn't tower operating anymore to bring in aircraft. And so we use our special tactics personnel to go up, assume control of the air traffic control centers or air traffic control capability around the airports to safely bring in aid. Away a lot of things from this experience. One is that the continued outstanding performance of our special operations force, their ability to integrate in with a multitude of different partners like the Puerto Rico Air National Guard. I take away from it the dedication that we all have to this mission, and I also take away the compassion that we've all felt towards the people we're trying to help as part of this effort.
Commander Lexia Littlejohn, I'm the Deputy Sector Commander for Sector Key West.
I'm Petty Officer 2nd Class Justin Buckner. I'm a Marine Science Technician. I'm stationed at Sector Key West.
Hi, I'm Jessica, Lieutenant Jessica Cooper, and I'm stationed at the 9th District Command Center in Cleveland, Ohio.
My name is Louis Register. I'm a Marine Science Technician 2nd Class and U.S. Coast Guard Sector Key West.
Lieutenant Bradley Patrick Burton, and I'm an investigating officer in the Prevention Department.
So here we've been running the incident management team out of the hotel here in Orlando, and we've been running operations, directing waterside security, port survey and assessments, pollution response, doing assessments of facilities, waterways, and marinas in our zone.
And the Situation Unit is the information management hub for the response. And so we track the status of our resources and where our operations are taking place, and compile all the information and the feedback from the field so we can make informed decisions for the next operational period.
Getting phone calls from the public with missing persons and stuff like that, where we were actually forwarding that information onto the appropriate responders. Working with Monroe County Sheriff's Office for welfare checks and stuff like that. Some of the stuff we've been dealing with lately are where our people are in the field currently. People that are doing responses now, what they are doing so that we can brief command where everybody is.
So I've seen pictures of my house. Noah had some satellite pictures that were available to us, and a friend down there was able to take some pictures of my house, but I haven't seen my house personally yet.
I'm hopefully I'm gonna see my stuff mostly intact, but I'm hopeful, but it's, you know, we did hear the experience flooding.
I've gotten very little information. Obviously, a lot of us are very ready to go back to check on our stuff, but I'm here to work until they say I can.
I didn't think that my kids would understand how much, what was going on. So they get more than you think they do, especially at a young age. So it is difficult in that regard, but as long as we're all together as a family, they seem to be doing fine.
So we're part of the community too. We live there. We're residents of Key West as well. So we definitely empathize with their situation, and we'll be right there with them cleaning up as well.
This is why I joined the Coast Guard. The missions that we do to help people, people that I've started to work with down there in the local community. You know, we're all going to need to rebuild together, and I'm excited to be able to help other people.
Really, it's been a privilege to come help out Sector Key West and the Key West community. That's near and dear to my heart, and I was happy to come join the team here.
That's the reason I joined the Coast Guard, was to help people. So I really enjoy doing this. I've been in a few different incidents before in the past, and it's what I really like to do. So
it's the same message. I'm from Biloxi, Mississippi, Ocean Springs, Mississippi. So we went through Katrina before, and one of the mottos was to rebuild. And I'm sure Key West will rebuild. The Keys will rebuild. So we'll get back up and running soon and back to normal.
The 156th Airlift Wing is a true model of the total force. It's comprised of the wing headquartered in Carolina, Puerto Rico, 3 geographically separated units located in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, Toa Baja, Puerto Rico, St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and 2 auxiliary components, the Civil Air Patrol and Puerto Rico Air State Guard. The 285th Civil Engineer Squadron supplements the total force in protecting our nation by providing ready and resilient, skilled airmen to support missions abroad. As Prime Base Engineer Emergency Force, or BEEF, the unit supports all base operating support missions from initial bed-down support at Bear Base and forward operating locations to follow-on support for smaller-scale contingencies, as well as providing bed-down and sustainment support for up to 1,100 personnel and lead aviation squadron. Additionally, the 285th assists with infrastructure and emergency management in times of natural disaster or civil unrest at contingency operating locations while supporting recovery operations. The 140th Air Defense Squadron maintains 2 different radars, the FPS-117 radar here at Punta Salinas and the Common Air Route Surveillance Radar, or CARSA radar, in Punta Borinquen. We work shifts 24/7 to ensure the radars are operational in both locations, Aguadilla, which is our operating location Alpha, and Punta Salinas. We send the data to our customers, which are Eastern Air Defense Sector, Joint Interagency Task Force South in Florida, the Caribbean Air Marine Operations Center, or the CAMOC, that's under the Department of Homeland Security, and to the San Juan Federal Aviation Administration for air traffic. The mission of the 141st Air Control Squadron is to mobilize a tactical radar and deploy it to anywhere in the world within 72 hours and execute the air tasking order for the combatant commander. We have the finest airmen in the Air National Guard, deploying a TPSY 75 mobile radar to any part of the world to execute air and control over an area of responsibility designated by a combatant commander. If there's a war that erupts overnight, 141st Air Control Squadron or another air control squadron will be tasked to support that war and execute the Air Tasking Order, which means control all the air assets that are used in that campaign or in that war to dominate the air and support the ground element that are fighting the ground war. The 141st is directly responsible for ensuring ground forces, such as Special Forces, JTACs. We're the ones that ensure that those fighters on the ground receive the strikes and tactical support that they need in a timely manner. We are the Quijotes. As a total force partner, Civil Air Patrol is here to search for and find the lost, provide support in times of disaster, and work to keep the homeland safe. We achieve that by providing airspace education, cadet programs, and emergency services training. More than 1,000 airmen in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands support these missions and the Air National Guard. The 1st Air Base Group provides mission-capable airmen as a force multiplier to the Puerto Rico Air National Guard for its non-combat mission, domestic operations, and defense support of civil authorities mission. We are trained and prepared to operate and maintain Muñiz Air National Guard Base and provide support to all units operating there upon mobilization and deployment of the 156th Airlift Wing.
They are a pretty incredible group. When you look at the range of experience they have, though, is absolutely amazing. Anywhere from doctors, legal, you name it, across the board. If there's a domestic operation or a natural disaster, I'm glad to have them with us.
The 156th Airlift Wing, home of the Bucaneros, was established in November 1947. Our wing is comprised of maintenance, operations, medical, and support groups with specialized units such as SURF-P, Joint Incident Site Communication Capability, and Fatality Search and Recover Team being recognized by NGB as best in the nation. While we maintain the oldest WC-130H Hercules fleet in the Air Force, our aircrew and maintainers are the best. The Puerto Rico Air National Guard active in the fight. Over 800 of our airmen have deployed to multiple COCOMs in the past 2 years alone. Over 1,200 airmen are the force that powers the Puerto Rico Air National Guard. We are the only 100% bilingual wing in the Air Force, committed to the nation and the community we serve. These warriors for the past 69 years have contributed to our nation's security by participating in combat missions, important exercises, and humanitarian missions around the world. In the Prang, we develop professional American airmen, deliver worldwide airlift, deploy mission-ready warriors to answer our nation's call. Our vision is to be the strategic air bridge for the Americas and beyond. Bucaneros, adelante.
Hey Team Dias, I'm Senior Airman Kenneth New, and this is your quick news update in 60 seconds or less.
Dias Airmen assigned to the 40th Airlift Squadron and 317th Airlift Maintenance Squadron departed earlier this morning to lend a helping hand. 2 C-130Js took off en route to the Virgin Islands. Their mission? To provide humanitarian relief to those affected by Hurricane Irma. During the next 24 hours, these 2 aircraft are expected to deliver approximately 40,000 pounds of supplies to those who need it most. Good luck and Godspeed, Airmen.
For more information or to check out some of our other stories, head on over to our website at dias.af.mil. Thanks for watching, Team Dias.
This is Joint Base San Antonio, the largest and most diverse joint base in the Department of Defense. Here, on more than 50,000 acres at 4 major locations: training, education, healthcare, combat support, cyber operations, and installation services take center stage. Joint Base San Antonio has more Department of Defense students and more active runways than any other military installation. It's also home to the San Antonio Military Medical Center, the largest Department of Defense inpatient hospital, and only stateside DoD Level 1 trauma center. At JBSA Fort Sam Houston, near downtown San Antonio, U.S. Army North protects the United States through homeland defense, civil support, and security operations and activities. U.S. Army South has a huge footprint, covering 31 countries and 15 areas of special sovereignty in the Caribbean, Central, and South America. Managing installation services, sustaining facilities, and family programs for a ready, resilient Army around the globe is the job of the Installation Management Command. Fort Sam Houston's Army Medical Command is the home of Army Medicine. The Army Medical Department Center and School educates and trains the Army's medical pros. Classroom lessons are put into practice at the sprawling Camp Bullis training site 22 miles north of Fort Sam Houston. And more than 24,000 enlisted men and women from all the military services train at the Medical Education Training Campus. Some of those service members will eventually work at the San Antonio Military Medical Center, which has nearly 75,000 emergency room visits a year. JBSA Lackland is located 22 miles southwest of Fort Sam Houston. Lackland is home to the 59th Medical Wing and the 37th Training Wing, which graduates nearly 80,000 young men and women from Air Force basic, technical, security, and international training each year. In May of 2015, Air Force Installation and Mission Support Center officially activated at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland. The center provides program management, resourcing, and support activities in key areas previously provided by these major commands, direct reporting units, and former field operating agencies. The giant C-5 Galaxy belongs to the Air Force Reserve's 433rd Airlift Wing, and the F-16 Fighting Falcons on a nearby ramp are assigned to the Air Guard's 149th Fighter Wing. Just up the road, the 24th Air Force gives combatant commanders the trained and ready cyber forces they need to extend, maintain, and defend the Air Force portion of the DoD Global Network. And when our warfighters on the ground, in harm's way on a far-off battlefield, need information, and quickly, the 25th Air Force delivers. Lackland is also home to the Defense Language Institute, where international military members learn English, and the Air Force trains officers and enlisted service members from Central and South America at the Inter-American Air Forces Academy. It's about building partnerships. JBSA Randolph, also known as the West Point of the Air, lies about 15 miles to the east-northeast of downtown San Antonio. Headquarters Air Education and Training Command is located here. The 3-star command operates 10 major installations in 5 states. Randolph's 12th Flying Training Wing trains 850 instructor pilots and 500 remotely piloted aircraft pilots and sensor operators every year. 19th Air Force is also headquartered at Randolph and has 16 total force wings, more than 32,000 personnel, and over 1,300 aircraft from 29 different models. Personnel matters for Air Force military and civilian members are handled by the Air Force Personnel Center. Headquarters Recruiting Service looks for the brightest, most competitive, and diverse men and women for the U.S. Air Force. It takes a lot of people behind the scenes to keep more than 200 missions humming along day in and day out. Security, civil engineering, morale, welfare and recreation, communications, legal, logistics, safety, and much more. The services you would expect from any municipality. The 502nd Air Base Wing provides that support for Joint Base San Antonio. The Wing Commander also serves as the Joint Base Commander. Joint Base San Antonio is a national asset and home for the world-class capabilities our more than 80,000 Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard units, and government civilians provide to the nation. Training, education, 24/7 operations in support of combatant commanders, installation management, and healthcare. This is Joint Base San Antonio. Partnership in excellence.
The space test program has had a ton of successes over the years. With our 50-year history, we've been involved in a lot of systems to include some of the mainstays in the nation's arsenal right now.
2017 marks the 50th anniversary of the Department of Defense Space Test Program's first launch.
Happy birthday, STP!
And has flown over 568 experiments on over 251 missions to date.
The DoD Space Test Program is important to the space community because we are the one-stop shop for finding platforms, launch vehicles, rideshare opportunities, hosting opportunities for experiments that need to go to space.
It's going pretty good.
Yeah?
We did the high G and low G version.
And essentially our value is to the experimenters who already have a hard time getting enough funding to just develop their experiment. We help them by enabling them to get their experiment to space and basically paying for their opportunity.
It's so important to be able to celebrate our successes and the rich legacy that the Space Test Program represents over now 50 years. It's hard to believe.
The Space Test Program is managed under the Air Force's Space and Missile Systems Center, Advanced Systems and Development Directorate, and continues to provide access to space for DoD-sponsored research and development missions.
We do pride ourselves on getting a big bang for the buck, as evidenced by the number of missions and experiments that we've flown throughout our 50-year history. In addition, the Space Test Program, through our office at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, has been the DoD's face to NASA, and we've flown various experiments throughout the years on the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station.
That's the beauty of space. It's an operational area, it's a warfare domain that cuts across all services, all other domains, reaching into the intelligence community and truly delivering national level capability. How are you going to command and control or manage or understand or operate with all of those pieces of space objects if you're trying to count them one by one and think about each one? Experiments like this to figure out how to tag those satellites and then start to operate as a network, that's pretty cutting edge stuff, and it's something we got to get done. And we're getting to work on this through the program of STP.
This access to space on nearly 600 now missions has enabled significant gains in many areas, from navigation and timing to wound healing and medical device development. In addition, STP's innovation culture drove advancements to spacecraft engineering, reusable experiment deployment hardware on the space shuttle, as well as adaptive secondary payload buses. These innovations have put more experiments on orbit at an even lower cost.
So I expect STP to continue to evolve in the future and taking advantage of our innovative culture that we have here. 50-year history comes from a long line of being involved in maturing technology and demonstrating capabilities to help the warfighter and help continue the fight in space.
The Space Test Program will continue to break space barriers to ensure cutting-edge DoD research has a path to space.
Thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do.
All right.
Congratulations, STP.
Thank you for celebrating this amazing milestone with us. 50 years of passionately breaking barriers with our amazing partners. Thank you.
ORS-5 is a space situational awareness spacecraft. It was a STRATCOM urgent need, and it's going to be scanning the geosynchronous belt for any threats that might be out there.
Operationally Responsive Space, or ORS, is an innovative concept of meeting joint space requirements within months instead of years, and getting critical battle space information into the hands of those who need it as quickly as possible. The Space and Missile Systems Center's ORS office is headquartered out of Los Angeles Air Force Base, with an operating office at Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico. The mission of the ORS office is to provide assured space power focused on timely satisfaction of the Joint Force Commander's needs.
The Operationally Responsive Space Office was really created by Congress in 2007 in response to the perception or concerns that space acquisition was slow, wasn't agile enough, it wasn't rapid enough, and it wasn't responsive to the Joint Force Commander needs. The first thing, we're focused on the urgent needs of the Joint Force Commander. Our second area of concern that we focus on is enabler activities, supporting and investing in those activities that will reduce the time and cost of bringing things on orbit or providing space capabilities. And then the third thing is kind of a separate piece, which we call the engagements activity, where we go out to combatant commanders, we go out to COCOMs and talk to them about the capabilities that the ORS office can bring to bear, how we can help them meet their needs. We're not talking in all cases that it's going to be a material solution. In some cases, it can be something as simple as changing a tactic, technique, and procedure. So that's really what the ORS office was created and stood up to do, was to provide these rapid response capabilities to the warfighter.
ORS-5, also known as SensorSat, built by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Lincoln Laboratory, is designed to scan for other satellites and debris to aid the U.S. military's tracking of objects in geosynchronous orbit, replacing capability previously provided by the Space-Based Space Surveillance, or SBSS, mission.
ORS-5 is a pathfinder program in so many ways. This is the first time that we're launching a Minotaur 4 from Cape Canaveral. It's also commercial contracted, so it's a very new way of doing launch services for SMC. So we're having a lot of lessons learned from this experience, but I think it's a great way for us to launch small satellite capabilities into orbit.
The Multi-Mission Space Operations Center's ground system will be used by Air Force Space Command's 1st Operations Squadron from Schriever Air Force Base in Colorado to operate the satellite.
This is also a pathfinder program for MMSOC 2.1. It's going to be the foundation of enterprise ground services, and we're the first mission on this system. It's important that we're paving the way for future missions. The other way that we're a pathfinder is with this particular technology. By designing the spacecraft around the sensor, it allows for us to decrease the size and weight of the spacecraft. It's a good demonstration of being able to put smaller spacecraft on orbit more rapidly, which I think is the direction that we're trying to go in the future.
Kind of sends out a message, a strategic message that as we're getting smarter and the technology is getting more robust, that platforms like this are coming online. And a platform like this with its capability is huge. But what other things can we come up with and develop to put up in space to be able to become a better, more robust warfighter?
So it's really fun to be part of this program. It's a small mission, small dollar value, but has such big impacts and great things coming in the future and demonstrating so many more new capabilities that I think SMC and Air Force Space Command and the greater Air Force are really going to benefit from these in the future.
And history is made. A Minotaur 4 rocket launches from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida, carrying ORS-5 into orbit.
U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds took to the sky for the 2017 Air Power over Altus Air Show. The show had a whole display of classic Air Force aircraft for the public to see how our battlefield airmen accomplished the mission here and abroad. Taking place in the Altus community of 22,000, over 30,000 people attended Air Power over Altus to see our nation's display of air superiority. Local Oklahoman and firefighter Devin Humphrey had this to say about the Thunderbirds.
Never pass up a chance to see the United States Air Force Air Demonstration Squadron. It's always a good show and never gets old. For one, they fly my favorite aircraft, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. Two, it's a very good demonstration of the American Air Force and gives a good demonstration to the public about what our Air Force is capable of.
The Thunderbirds are scheduled to perform in 72 demonstrations in 2017. Including flyovers over the Super Bowl, Daytona 500, and the United States Air Force Academy graduation. Air shows come to Air Force installation communities every few years and are by far one of the largest local events, bringing in guests from all over America.
I'd like to thank Altus Air Force Base for putting on this show every few years. It's always a good time.
And we would like to thank everyone for attending and making this year's air show a huge success. For the Mighty 97th, I'm Airman James Johnson.
September is National Emergency Preparedness Month, and in the aftermath of Hurricane